Hi, everybody. I hope everyone is doing well. We're going to get started here. My name is Neil Reedy, Manager of Cloud Computing. And thank you for joining today's webinar. We're going to be talking about strategy and building the right DR plan for your business. Just FYI, this is going to be recorded. You will receive a link via email after the recording and the presentation is finished. During the webinar, we're going to mute the phones, and during question time, I'll unmute. Feel free to, and I encourage you to please ask questions. It'll benefit the whole audience and be a nice interactive time together. Let's get started. The title of this presentation is Building the Right DR Plan for Your Business. Agenda on today is going to be number one, learn how to categorize and prioritize your systems within your environment. It's really important. We're going to cover that first. Number two, we're going to discuss evaluating your current RTO and RPO. We're going to talk a little bit about what that means. Number three, learn about the downfalls of traditional backup methods. We'll be going into the specifics on what you may be doing, what a lot of companies are still doing today. Number four, and finally, we're going to just discover some of the modern technology solutions available to Evolve IP customers and prospects, and solutions that will really help you with your planning. When we talk about disaster recovery at Evolve IP, we're really focusing on the IT or the technology systems that support those critical functions. The DR planning is something that really involves a set of policies and procedures. The word's thrown around quite a bit, but at the end of the day, we're really looking for that plan and that process to be fully baked as part of the DR strategy. That's really important. And we categorize disasters, like you see here, in both natural and human-related incidents. And in fact, the most common type of quote-unquote disaster really is a human error. And we try to plan for that accordingly. So some of the most critical environments in enterprise and then all the way down into small and medium business require what's just called an inventory collection process. And what this is, we're going to give you some examples of this, but we believe that a solid inventory is key to having a solid DR plan. If you don't know what you have, how are you going to restore it when you lose it? That's the core concept of this presentation. So to begin with, you've got your connectivity. What are your service providers and service types, associated devices, routers and switches, and all the ways that your business is connected? And how are you connected? Are you using DSL? Are you using dedicated circuit, MPLS, T1, internet with VPN? Somebody, whether it's you or your IT point of contact, needs to build an inventory, and we will assist you with that and providing you with documentation to help you, guide you along that path. The network equipment, for example, network diagrams, server inventories. We're going to show you all this in the next 24 minutes. The key here, again, is being organized really means being prepared. You got to have a good inventory of these systems. So the first example, this is an excerpt from our DR planning guide, which we just go through what are the servers and what are the metadata of those servers. What's the priority, for example, second column? 1 being highest priority, 2 being not so high. This list can go on to be pages long, and it really helps for even small businesses with only 3 or 4 servers to identify what can wait and what's absolutely critical. So we have just a description, how many procs or processors, how much memory or RAM, what are the storage requirements of those systems and how much storage is committed there, the operating system, and then any notes that you may need to attach. So the goal here is we have to blueprint all the server systems and prioritize their purpose. Because when they all go down, you're never going to get everything back up unless you systematically know what is the most priority and what is the least. So we're going to start with the highest and work our way down, or up, I should say. Network planning. On the network side of the house, just like at the server side, there's an inventory process. You have to know what you have, and in this case, switches, routers, firewalls. Some organizations leverage mail gateways, web filtering gateways, VPNs, load balancers, lots of different types of network devices that fall into this category. And we're really looking for make, model, description, a little bit of network information, inside address, outside IP address. Again, this is information you guys, if you don't have already, is a great idea to get organized. Ironically enough, it's critical to the DR plan. So you should have it. If you don't, you need to get there. And then just a summary of your infrastructure. Sometimes, depending on who you're using for, if you're running on-premise or you're using a cloud provider, having information like this to total is really valuable. So how many VMs do I have at my primary location? If I have a secondary or a DR site or a failover site, how many VMs do I have there, and what are my totals? How many bare metal systems do I have? What are my total processors, memory, and storage? This is really valuable for capacity planning during day-to-day work, as well as during that DR, during DR testing and DR real-life disaster recovery. Nice to know what your totals are. And then the last piece of that inventory is, what applications do I have? At the end of the day, you've got all these servers and all this networking. If you don't inventory your applications, then you're really missing out on one of the most critical pieces. Active Directory, Exchange, Apache Web Services, IIS, QuickBooks, Microsoft Dynamics. Maybe you're running a custom SQL Server application, or Oracle, or any other application out on the market. It needs to be inventoried, and you should at least figure out your versions and the priority of those applications in your environment. And again, having all this information in one place is extremely valuable and important for the survivability of the business. So the next piece here is titled Be Prepared. What are the causes of downtime? This is from Forrester Research, a couple years old, but still very relevant. Power failure is your #1 offender. So power is not perfect. Power goes out all the time here in our area, in the Philadelphia area, especially in the winter. Sometimes it's for 5 minutes. A couple winters ago, we had 3 days without power. So power failure, #1, and #2, IT network failure, hardware failure. Hardware fails, and we get that. That's the business we're in as well, but we know most of our customers come from an environment where they have servers, they have desktops, phone systems, and we all have seen those types of systems break down. It's just like a car. We're not going to go through all these, but this is really valuable because when we build a DR plan for our business, we want to set up some scenarios that resemble these top causes of downtime. And based on, for example, if I say a human error, what is my remediation going to be, and what's my decision matrix going to look like as we go through these different events? And really all this means is we have some declaration guidelines in our DR documentation that we provide to our customers. And it's as simple as what's the situation and what's the plan of action once that situation has occurred. So a couple of examples here. The one in the middle, power loss in the data room. That's very common. I've lived through that myself. What do you do? Well, you got to open up your DR guidelines here, and sometimes, having the whole company in tune with this documentation is very helpful, because maybe your IT decision maker is not available, or your CTO or your CIO or even your CEO, or who knows, may not be available. But having a single authoritative document that can help you through those incidents is very helpful. So this is just as simple as cause and effect, and getting the business to sign off on the different remediations. Again, the goal here is to create a plan of action based on the incident. Another critical part of building a successful DR plan for your business is the communications. So if your company has an outage and no one's able to communicate, you have a bigger problem other than just the outage. It's that nobody knows what's going on. So documenting a call tree, and we recommend that we keep this call tree pretty minimal. It always reminds me of growing up when there was a school day. We didn't have internet. We didn't have text messaging. You would just get a call from teacher's assistant that there was delayed opening. In the same way, when the business incurs some incident, on the previous slides, regardless of what it is, you got to have that communication plan solidified and documented and signed off and updated with people's email addresses, cell phone numbers, maybe a secondary phone number and email address, just to make sure you're covering all your bases. One of the features of our disaster recovery in the cloud is we equip our customers with a support guide. And this support guide integrates with the DR guide that we provide you, because it tells you how to call our support organization. And it also tells you how to get escalated help should support not be available, or maybe you just need escalation to get your issue remediated quickly. And this is just an excerpt from there. That's a 3-page document that we provide every customer when they're onboarded, and it gives lots of useful information on just contacting us. So the next piece to the agenda was evaluating your current RPO and RTO. The typical small, medium business and commercial company may not have always been acute to this terminology. This is up and coming. Now that we have the technology to help those small, medium businesses, we need to be current with the terminology. So RPO on the left and RTO on the right. You can see the star in the middle is your incident. The RPO is essentially how current is your data. So if my server room were to completely melt down due to power failure, how far behind is the data in seconds or maybe minutes or hours at my DR site? With our solution, we're in the seconds, and that's because it's a replication solution. We also have backup solutions, which will get you in the days. And then on the right, RTO is essentially how long will it take to bring that environment back online after the crash or the incident. And with our technology, again, because it's replication, we have RTO examples on our website of 7 minutes or less. And of course, that depending on the product, we can also accommodate more affordable solutions, and those RTOs are in the hours and days. But it's very important to know what these terms are when discussing a DR plan. So the Evolve IP marketing team put together a really cool survey, and if you haven't already received that survey as part of this webinar registration, feel free to inquire, and we'll get that to you. But one of the pages here, the Back to the Future text, basically goes through the RPO and the RTO measurements that are really interesting, and we've queried thousands of our own IT decision makers to get this data. Is very valuable and very interesting data. But as you can see, the default RTO for many is 24 hours. So 26.5% of those respondents have a 24-hour RTO goal. And as you go down the list, you can see the different examples. And on the bottom, RPO goals, you can see near real time is 28%. So that's pretty aggressive. It's an impressive number. And we have products today that for very affordable monthly price, you can get in near real time, and that's in seconds of your existing environment. What are some of the downfalls of traditional backup? Lots of DR plans that we've seen come in. A lot of customers come in the door saying, we need a better plan in the event of a disaster. Some of the pitfalls here are, number one, the corruption of those disks or tapes. If your backup's corrupted, what do you do next? Number two, time to restore. Sometimes this could be in days. It could be a weekend. It could be over a week, depending on the speed of that restore and how large your environment is. Absolutely a downfall of some of the traditional tape backup and just disk backup solutions out there. Staff capacity planning, backup for the backup, unpredictable costs for recovery. These are all very serious pitfalls on the traditional backup, and we've worked very hard to get answers to these dilemmas with some of our latest DR products. The last one I just want to point to, number 10, hard to fully test. We've been there where it takes a weekend to do a full restore of your environment in a DR mode. You're taking time away from family, from business. Sometimes it's nights, weekends to do that full recovery test, and it's just very draining and very difficult to fully know how successful your DR strategy is. And so the segue here is, well, what's the answer? So the modern DR planning is, we're really excited about this because these tools that are now available to the SMBs were traditionally only available to large companies with large budgets. These solutions, specifically the DRAS products that we've gone to market with, are easy to test. We're thrilled that we can do our DR testing with our customers during the day when everyone is working and committed to seeing projects through. We're also excited, number two, that these are easy to fail over and fail back. So we have customers that do DR testing every month, every quarter. You could do it every day if you wanted to. It's completely non-intrusive to your production environment. Number three, the RPO, as we said, is current to the second. And number four, they're well-rounded. We have a couple products that complement each other very nicely, and we'll go through that shortly. Most compelling reasons companies use cloud-based DR is, number one, the money. The aspects of the economics are much more compelling than doing it yourself or just not doing it at all, and the time. We can get your DR up and running very quickly in a matter of days, whereas some organizations, it's a month-long project. Some of the, just an example of time required for building out a DRAS solution. We do a kickoff meeting, we have some planning meetings, final planning meeting, and then an on-site review and the install. So a total of 28 hours to get a solution implemented on one of our latest projects. And again, we talked about well-rounded solutions. We've on our website have a decision matrix with all sorts of useful information here, the different products that we offer. And we do demos of these products during our bi-weekly demo desk events, and your TAs can talk to you about all these as well. So tips and tricks and some questions. We did have a couple questions come in prior to kicking off the call. So it's 2:22, and we'd like to keep these to 24 minutes. So we'll spend a few moments here. I'll unmute the lines. I'll go through these questions. And if anyone on the phones has any questions, please feel free to hop in here. And for anyone who needs to ask a question, you can just unmute your phone and hit *1. And I'll also have the chat going here on my screen, just in case something comes in through chat. So while you guys are thinking of questions, one question that came in prior to this was, what are other people using? We've obviously seen more DR installations than anyone else on the phone. So one thing that we've seen that's very successful is companies just putting a small virtual data center out there in either our east or west Evolve IP cloud location and deploying a Active Directory server, if nothing else, in that location with maybe some file space, and just synchronizing files in AD. It's very affordable, very easy to set up, gets the firewall and the networking and all that done in advance. And again, it's a really cheap way to build out a second site. We also have a YouTube link here, which we'll send this out after the presentation, or I'll just copy it right into the chat here. But this is something that we recently built, which shows a premise-based VMware location doing a full server failover to an Evolve IP virtual data center in 7 minutes using our DRaaS product. The second question that came in, again, around just tips and tricks, was making sure you have a well-rounded DR plan means having well-rounded products. So we have pretty cool replication products that we usually sandwich with a really easy self-service cloud-based product that it's a cloud backup product that makes things much, gives you a lot of peace of mind around just your data as a whole. So you're not only replicating all your data, but you're backing it up in our cloud maybe twice a day or once a night, and you're retaining it for as long as you want. So we have some really neat products out there that we like to recommend because it's just a nice, well-rounded solution. Are there any other questions that you guys have on the line? Feel free to, again, just *1, speak up, and I'd be happy to spend some time with you guys in the Q&A. Okay, well, if you guys have any follow-up questions, by all means, please reach out, and we'd be happy to engage with you and discuss your question or just a solution or an opportunity out there that we could use to help do some DR planning with you guys. Again, on behalf of Evolve IP, thank you for your time, and we look forward to speaking with you again. Have a great day.